everyone, I'm Vladimir Duthiers.
And I'm Christine Johnson.
FBI Director James Comey says the agency was able to stop planned terrorist attacks tied to the 4th of July.
The agency made several arrests leading up to the holidays, which Comey believes saved American lives. Joining us now from Washington with more on this is Paula Reid. Paula, what do you know?
Today at an off-camera but on-the-record briefing with reporters, FBI Director James Comey said that the FBI was able to disrupt efforts to kill Americans leading up to the 4th of July. Now, he would not get into the specifics about the arrests, but he said in the last 4 weeks, at least 10 individuals inspired by ISIL have been arrested, and several of those individuals were plotting attacks tied to the 4th of July. So he believes that the FBI's efforts leading up to the holiday did save American lives.
And Paula, typically the FBI and intelligence agencies are always on alert for any types of attacks. Did they see a certain spike related to the 4th? Is that what this is all about?
As we know, it is traditional for law enforcement agencies to send out warnings prior to holidays. Many terrorist organizations choose gatherings, particularly this organization, ISIL, that is focused on law enforcement and the military. This was a holiday that they were very concerned about, that this group would try to carry out attacks. So there was this heightened vigilance. But when there were no attacks, the FBI came under some criticism for whether or not they overhyped this threat. And today, Comey says that there were arrests, there were individuals who were plotting to attack the United States, and that those plots were disrupted. But again, he would not go into specifics, as some people were frustrated that we could not get more details about what kinds of attacks, how many people, what were they plotting to do, what stage were they in, were they directed by someone overseas to conduct these attacks. At this point, all the FBI will say is that they did indeed disrupt attempts to kill Americans around the 4th of July.
And Paula, I know that he wouldn't really go beyond that. Did he at all mention maybe what cities in particular were targeted?
He would not mention any specific cities, any specific targets, or even methods of attacks. All he would say is a general time range, 4 weeks, 10 individuals, some of whom were plotting attacks on the 4th of July. Now, I cover the Department of Justice, and usually if anyone is charged with a terror offense, they tend to stay on top of that. But he said a lot of these people may not have been charged with terror-related offenses. You can sometimes get people on a lesser offense if you want to get them off the street and prevent them from conducting attacks. That may be why some of these individuals have not been on the radar.
And Paula, a lot of people may be wondering if there was any connection or if the director made any comments about yesterday's gremlins at the NYSC and at United Airlines and even at the Wall Street Journal. Any connection at all between thwarting some of these attacks and perhaps what we saw yesterday?
He says at this point what we saw with United and on the New York Stock Exchange, that there's no indication of a cyber attack or cyber intrusion related to those attacks. So no ISIL, no cyber attack, and no gremlins, according to the FBI director at this point.
We've also been covering a lot of those fires, Paula, down in the South and in the wake of that Charleston shooting. Did he touch on that at all, and was he able to give any new information?
He did. Last week on Thursday, the Department of Justice came out just before the holiday weekend and said that 3 of those fires had been attributed to natural causes or electrical fires. And again today, FBI Director Comey said that there is no connection between those fires, no connection between them in terms of being set by the same person or any clear indication that they were motivated by race.
And so what are they doing, Paula, going forward to ensure that the American people are aware of these? Because this seems that this was comments made to reporters. Are they letting people know, other than through the press,
about the threat posed by the Islamic State?
What threats they may have thwarted? Yeah.
Going forward, I mean, they continue to talk about their concerns about the Islamic State and particularly conducting attacks here in the United States. The FBI has confirmed that they have open investigations in every single state in the United States into individuals who could potentially pose a threat here on U.S. soil. So this is something they've been talking a lot about. They want people to, again, see something, say something, report suspicious activity. They continue to monitor social media. Just yesterday, Comey was on the Hill arguing against certain encryption programs that he says is making it difficult for him to monitor individuals who have been inspired by the Islamic State. Now, that's very controversial because a lot of people want their data to be encrypted against hackers. We know that hackers can work around information that is not encrypted, steal that information and use it. But the FBI says once you encrypt that information, it makes it hard for us to do our job and track these individuals who are plotting attacks.
So, Paula, I guess the question that perhaps a lot of people will also have, are we prepared? Does Director Comey feel that we are prepared to handle anything that may come their way?
They consistently say that they are working. They believe this is a real threat. They are attributing a lot of resources to stop any potential attacks. But they'll also tell you that it is impossible to completely stop a threat like this. This is an organization that inspires individuals randomly. This is not like Al-Qaeda, where they try to choose certain people to work on one big, sort of very flashy plot. These are people, it's sort of a flash mob mentality. We saw this up in Boston with that individual who woke up one day and said, you know, I'm not going to wait a couple more days to conduct my attacks. I'm going to go attack the boys in blue today. And that's a very difficult threat to track, and it's a very difficult threat to stop.
Paula, it seems like in instances in the past when there have been arrests that are terror related, we know the name, we know where they're from, and we know somewhat more about the plot. Why so vague on these last arrests, these last 10 arrests?
Based on my understanding, and I cover a lot of these cases, sometimes we see that they'll reach out, they'll get someone off the street, but sometimes those individuals are not working alone, and that sort of low-hanging fruit, get one individual off the street for lying to authorities or some minor charge, and continue to monitor other individuals in the plot. Going back to Boston, you saw that one of the associates was arrested very quickly, charged with lying to authorities, but they continued to monitor that other individual in Rhode Island, and then once they got him, then they charged everybody with material support in that case, both individuals. So it's a common tactic when you want to continue to monitor someone and don't want them to be tipped off to how you're monitoring them, or the fact that you are sort of onto this plot. You take one individual off the street on a lesser charge, you continue to monitor others, and then when you have enough evidence, you can pull them off the street, and then you can pursue material support or other terror-related charges.
Paula Reid, great information there from Washington. Thank you.